You're getting scruffy.
Yeah, just a little.
I'm growing it out. Anyway, this is episode 38 of the Webcomic Beacon Presents first issue.
I'm Marcus.
I'm Melissa.
And I'm Fes. And this is Nightwing, number 1.
We got a lot mellower after we ate that pizza.
Yeah. Well, we got Nightwing here. This cover. Okay, now the logo's, it's alright. Except that the background paneling shows the buildings obviously looking upwards. He's about to smack the concrete.
Yeah.
Because he's not attached to
you.
He's not attached to anything. He's not supported by anything. He's in a goofy pose holding
batons.
You can see his balls. Come on, this was for.
And I don't know. It's a fucking goofy cover.
I just love the fact that he's followed by all of these golden bats that are gonna hurt like a bitch when they hit the floor.
Yeah.
Because gold is pretty
he's
heavy.
going to get pelted by bats once he hits the asphalt.
Well, this is the event from Swamp Thing. All the bats are gonna die, and he's falling to his death, and he's just gonna be spiked by a bunch of bats. After
I thought they were just made of gold. Yeah.
Anyway,
golden
bats. The cover could have been a lot better.
The only problem I really have is the fact that there's this red background that almost blends completely in with this little red T-shirt thing. The impression that I get is that this was designed with the old color scheme in mind, where everything that's red on Nightwing was blue. Mm-hmm. And that would have popped a lot more, but as it stands, it's not quite as strong as it should be.
So, Nightwing. Nightwing is apparently... Okay, well, we open up. And we get a little bit of exposition of Nightwing doing his little... Well, he's jumping around the town of Gotham City because...
It's Gotham City, you need more.
Batman.
Because Nightwing is really Dick Grayson, which is the original Robin.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I do have to comment on this scene. All right, he shoots a Gatling gun and doing a swan dive.
I wonder if the swan dive was there with the grappling hook originally. The grappling hook was a little bit tacked on.
Yeah, it does kind of. And then the next panel, he's got a lot of slack coming from... I don't know what unless he just like... You're not Spider-Man. You're not just... You can't do that with the Gatling gun.
You're a normal human being. You'll dislocate your shoulders.
But to be fair, that's just kind of the thing they do with the Bat characters. They always give them the Peter Parker slime all over the place. And I don't even know if Peter Parker even had that. I don't know how long Batman's been doing it, but this is very common for DC's portrayal of Bat family.
Between the Batman ropes and Wonder Woman's lasso.
Yeah, they love
and
it.
Catwoman's whip.
Yes.
Everything, they're just excuses to make lots of loops on the page.
So, disregarding that, we're going to cut to... we find out that we get a little bit of backstory about Dick Grayson being a.k.a. Nightwing, who has been away from Gotham for a while. There was apparently a year where he was Batman. And so far of the Batman books that we've read, there's no mention of that. There's no mention of Batman not being Batman for any period of time as far as any backstory.
That's because Batman suppressed all that information. Dick Grayson's the only one who gives you the truth.
So we have Nightwing is in pursuit of basically psychos going off and killing people.
Which is kind of neat. It almost gives me the impression that the different Bat family members specialize in different criminals. Mm-hmm. Although that's not really how it's been working out. But when I read that, it gave me almost this idea. I'm like, oh, wouldn't that have been kind of a neat way to go about it? Nightwing fights the dedicated psychopaths. Mm-hmm. Batman fights the masterminds. Red Robin fights the street pushers and drug dealers. Something like that, where they all kind of have their beats.
Well, division of labor.
Yeah,
it makes sense in a corporation such as the Bat Corporation.
The Bat Corps.
The Bat Corps.
So we get a two-page splash of angled panels. They're showing a bit more. It's a dynamic sort of speed rushing by because he's on a plane, and it looks pretty good. But there's a lot of this angling going on, and this sort of page almost fell over because
there's so much action going on. You can't possibly hold it.
Yeah, and what I do like is that at least Dick Grayson fights differently than Batman. He fights like an acrobat.
Yeah.
Right. Because, that is where he came from.
Yeah.
Because his parents were shot, or they were felled, or...
Death happened.
Or they died of some sort.
Or they protected everybody from a bomb going off, or...
Yeah,
whatever the history is, we don't know what it is in here.
Either way, this is not Chris O'Donnell. That's all that really matters. Yeah. He's not 27 years old being adopted by a 30-year-old.
So anyway, we have... he basically beats this guy out, and one thing that's not touched on is that there's like this Red Robin blood thing that the guy painted on his chest.
Yeah, it seems to have Nightwing's symbol on his chest in blood.
But
I don't know. I don't know if that's supposed to be intentional on the part of the villain or thematic on the part of the artist.
I'm not sure. It's not really brought up again. So after that, he notices that the circus is in town. In fact, this original circus that he used to travel with back when his parents were alive.
Because once again, the DC universe seems to take place both in the real time, whatever time it is you're reading it, and the 1930s.
There's always a circus going on.
Right.
Yeah, somewhere.
And a lot of the things that Dick is narrating is that... he's trying not to let the past come up and get him. He wants to be living now. This is his time, sort of thing. But the past seems to keep coming up onto him.
And then the Joker appears in, all of his previous incarnations. Oh, god damn it, it's another one of those.
With those ads.
Those shoe ads.
I thought the Joker showed the fuck up, out of nowhere. And was I thought it was like a psychedelic sort of thing. And I really wish that was the case. I mean, I like the comic as a turn. I'll just kind of spoil, I like this one. But how cool would that have been? Suddenly, there's just, this fucking mind fuck of, 70 years of Joker popping up. And
then we get a bus coming in. Some guy gets off and totally goes freaking old school and beats up these... murders these thugs that were gonna steal his sunglasses.
I thought it was Johnny Cage at first, and I was like, "Oh my god, it's Mortal Kombat versus DCU! Holy shit!" And then it's like,
cool.
Yeah, I mean they're both owned by Warner Brothers. There's actually no reason that couldn't be the case, but it's not.
Yeah. So this guy shows up a little bit later, but we get a little sight in. Then we get a nice vision of Nightwing's pad, and he's a total. It's like he just moved out of his parents' house, and he's just like, fuck it, I'm gonna be a slob.
Hey, look, he's only 39, okay?
Yeah, he
just got on his feet.
Yeah.
Then he goes to go visit his old pals, and everything's like, hey, it's like,
I haven't seen you since you were 12 and being molested by that rich guy. Yeah. Did you ever get counseling like we told you to, Dick? And he's like, no, he's still my friend. Like, you need help.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of that going on, and Dick Grayson's, he's feeling good. He's feeling...
Yeah.
He's having a good day.
He's reconnecting with people. He might, kind of date one of the girls he used to know from back there.
And he lets his guard down.
And then Reptile from Mortal Kombat shows up with Wolverine's son's claws, and I was like, holy shit, it is! And
look, oh my god, it's the color green.
Yeah, that's actually pretty cool.
That's nice.
No, I mean, there's not enough green people, oddly, in this
this is fairly monochromatic.
Yeah, it's a very stark contrast, and I like that a lot.
It's usually black and red.
Yeah, well, especially because he's got the bright green with the bright red of the blood.
Yeah.
And it contrasts very well.
Yeah.
All right, something else is going on. Yeah!
Woo!
So basically, we get this guy, which we're going to infer is the guy who came on the bus.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's no reason to bring up the guy who came up on the bus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's like, basically, he's attacking Dick Grayson, and it's like, Dick Grayson, what the hell did you do to get this sort of thing? And then the cops come in, distract him. Dick Grayson turns into Nightwing, and he's all like, stay out of this. Dick Grayson's bad, this blah, blah, blah sort of thing. And so, obviously, this is sort of a mind trip.
Yeah, he's like, what did I do?
What the hell is going on sort of thing. And of course, the reader's going, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
And...
So I perfectly understand if he was going after Nightwing, but he's going after Dick Grayson.
And it doesn't seem to... there's no indication that this guy knows that Nightwing is Dick Grayson,
Not
and vice versa.
No, he would have... Because he's still talking about him as like a separate person entirely.
And not to spoil the end of this, but if you read Batman... This makes the end of Batman a little bit more interesting. Mm-hmm. And maybe vice versa, that I'm not sure how well tied that Nightwing and Batman are going to be. Yeah. But if you did like Batman, number one, you could probably pick this up and probably pick up number two of this one and Batman. if that is your thing. As a number one, you know what? I think it does a fairly good job because you are focused a lot on Dick in this, and
Lots of Dick focus.
Yeah, a lot of Dick focus. You really get to know his character. You know, he's expositing while he's fighting and doing these things. You're learning about his character a lot. You know what type of crime fighting he does.
Yeah,
he's Nightwing. He was Batman. He was Robin.
Yeah, and he was Batman at some point.
Yeah, I guess so. He was Batman at some point. And then you got the setup for what the next issue is going to be. And if you did read Batman, this made it more interesting because a few pages before the very end, he's like, "Oh, hey, I think this relates to Batman #1." So I got really interested, though I'm not too terribly interested in reading more Batman stuff. I mean, I've had enough. I've had enough of Batman already.
There's so much Batman.
But this was pretty interesting, and Batman does not show up in this, amazingly enough.
Shockingly enough.
Yeah. So, what'd you think?
I'd give it a succeeds. Just because it gives me enough expedition to figure out whether or not I'd like to continue. And it gives me a pretty cool-looking villain. I don't recognize this character. I mean, aspects of him obviously remind me of other characters, but whatever. He's not someone that I recognize as a specific entity. So I kind of want to see what this guy's like, what his whole deal is. I really like the cut of his jib.
I give it a succeeds. It's an interesting start. It's a good introduction to the character. The art's quite nice. It's
yes.
Yeah, it's very shiny. It's very good, and it's a good little comic. It's a good first issue.
And I give it a succeeds as well. I believe it does what it needs to do for a #1. And there you go, Nightwing #1 from DC Comics.